This is DayZ. We're here on Xbox Series X. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So it's been a while since I've done a review of DayZ, and the game has continued to evolve. And I say review as in I haven't checked it out on the Series X side of things in quite a while. We typically do this once a year, come in and take a look at things. I think it's actually been a couple of years since I last did this, and yeah, I thought it was a good time and a good point to dive in and refresh our look at DayZ and talk about the experience and what it's like at this current point in time. It's changed a lot since the Xbox One game preview back in the day. I was at a time pretty well known for covering DayZ, and it's really interesting to move away from that and then come back every now and then and kind of dive into it and talk about what this game has to offer. So DayZ is a multiplayer game. Multiplayer only. You can't, you can't really play this offline. Well, you can't. It's a multiplayer game. So you're able to play it, basically with others. You are attempting to survive in a hostile world where up to 60 players or more, depending on if you're playing vanilla or modded servers. There's changes in how many people are there. There's people out there. It's got a cycling day-night, random weather, like, it can rain and stuff like that, but everybody's trying to survive. And it's permadeath. When your character, like my character here, dies, you die. You lose all your stuff, everything's on the ground, you're very likely to get looted or taken, as in, they'll take everything from you. Some of them will even carve you up and eat what's left. And you will be trying to survive against all odds while exploring, gathering items, and trying to make your way across what is a massive environment of 230 kilometers squared space. Flowing hills, forests, random tree areas, small towns. There's landmarks. There's hidden things to discover. There's I think like castle-like kind of areas too, and there's lots of sights within the world of DayZ. And it's all kind of random who you come across, the zombies you come across, and the danger you come across. It's interesting because often I say the real threat are the players, not the zombies, but the zombies have become a little bit more dangerous over the years. They definitely are threatening for sure. They definitely want to end your days. And that in itself is kind of interesting. But yeah, the main map is Chernarus. Chernarus, yeah. And this is a world that I think a lot of people kind of get used to over time as they play and explore and visit things. And yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's a very warm home feeling when you jump onto this map. But there's other areas too. There's the DLC of Livonia, which is a 163 kilometer squared map, which is like this map, but a little bit more luscious, a little bit more green. And yeah, we have a review for that on the channel too. If you've not seen us, check out Livonia. And then there's another new area that's more recent that I was not able to check out, which is a little bit of a disappointment, but that's how she goes. And that's the Frostline map, which is like a snow level, which is kind of a cool concept. Did I not go into the police station over here? Because that would be very, very foolish of me if I did not. I feel like I did not. Let's go over there. Oh, looks like we've got something going on. That's a zombie and a person. Like, you never know what you're going to come across or who you're going to come across, and, that's the danger. Because other players, they're all hostile, let's be real here. They all want to kill you because they don't trust you. I mean, you get some funny interactions and stuff like that. I know I have over the years. And that in itself is quite cool. So from a technical perspective, here on the Series X, it's a 4K resolution, 60 FPS. And yeah, it's still got the stutters, it's still got the technical issues, it's still got little bugs here or there, but, they've done things like enhancing the environment, the sky, the world. It looks a lot better now. It's a lot more visually impressive. It's become a lot more enhanced. They've done a lot to improve and beautify the world, and adjust it over time. And we've definitely seen those improvements actually come in and make a better game. It still has the stutters though and everything like that. It's not perfect in terms of quality and whatnot, but it kind of gets the job done. It's weird. Usually the zombies are a little bit more intelligent and coming after me. Oh, now you're raging. Okay. Weird. They were quite dulled. So the game is very technical. It's very mechanical. You can see in the bottom left there, based on what I'm doing, you can hear different levels of sound, and it's got stamina. And on the bottom right there, you can see different bars. Like, you have to maintain your health and your blood levels and your food and water levels, and you can get sick. You can go mad if you're eating bits of people. and and yeah, there's lots of bad things that can happen. The temperature matters. You get too colds, things are bad. You get too warm. I don't think you really ever get too warm in this. You mostly just get too cold. It's all about like insulation of your clothing and whatnot. So the game is very mechanical. It's got crafting systems, so you can like craft items to a degree. It's pretty basic, but you can craft things. Get like a stick, or you can create like a fire, and that allows you to cook food. There's the odd hunting. There's creatures and stuff like that. Livonia has like a bear, for instance, and depending on where you go, it'll change what you kind of come across, and different kind of creatures out there in the wild. And then, different complex system of climbing and moving, all impacting your stamina. And then there's the combat system, so you can kind of get hit, and, your character can get sort of concussed, as a bit of a way of saying it, like a bit of a shock attack, and that can impact your ability to move. And this is actually quite complex in terms of mechanics. And then from there, like building-wise, you may also find yourself going and building, say, like a garden plot. So you can put down a garden plot, you can grow food, like, for instance, I guess peppers. Or, oh, are you in here already? Or, oh, the door didn't close. That kind of sucks. As you can tell, I'm now bleeding and injured. But, yeah, you can grow little food things, or you could build a bit of a base, and there's a whole kind of gameplay mechanic among people doing raids and battling each other as they build bases. Bases are just not worth the effort. They take an immense amount of time to create, and it's just not worth your time, honestly. But yeah. You could also fix up a car, and that car could, you could drive around with it, and that could be a good way to get around. They're pretty dangerous. They don't work the best, but, it's a thing that's in this game. Yeah, so you can do farming and crafting and building and, dealing with the elements and stuff like that. It's a pretty complex experience. Like, DayZ is genuinely complex, and it's evolved a lot, too. Like, I always find it funny when people will go into, like my old school videos and stuff, and they'll be like, oh, this is wrong and stuff, but it's like, at the time, things were right, because they changed so much. Like now, there's these complex systems for, like, drinking and stuff like that. Like, back in the day, you could just drink out of anywhere, but now if you drink from, like, a pond or something like that, you get immensely sick. And just the mechanics of this game have changed tremendously over the years. And then there's all these other technical details. Like, so when you get, like, a gun, for instance, like, you'll rarely ever get ammo, and, you've got to reload your gun to make sure it doesn't get all jammed up, and you gotta... basically there's, I guess you would say, I'm trying to think of the best way to kind of mention it, but like your magazine, you got to load, you've got to actually like adjust your bullets and everything like that, put on attachments. There's a lot to how you do things and how you approach stuff in this game compared to other games. It's unforgiving. It's almost diabolical in terms of like dealing with other people that want to kill you, and dealing with zombies that want to kill you, and then like lag on stuff like doors and that can kill you. And There's there's a lot of annoying things about DayZ. Some people love it, some people are not huge on it. It's quite interesting. And then there's the damage of your clothing. You can see as I get hit, my clothing is sort of getting torn, and you know things break down, and you can fix things that get broken, and it's quite interesting. It really genuinely is. And then we're kind of preparing for down the road because we're supposed to be getting a DayZ 2. That was leaked in the Activision Blizzard acquisition by Microsoft. Microsoft leaked that as part of their partner profiles for companies to acquire. And I guess DayZ 2 is being worked on, I'm assuming, on the Armor Reforger and Fusion upgraded engine, which is kind of neat. So this is kind of a bridge to that, and they keep updating it. New weapons, new interactions. Like, there's really quite a lot that's been, you know, changing and getting added and swapped in this game over the years. Like, it really is genuinely remarkable in the scale of it. But, like, a lot of the game is, to a degree, it's sort of like Dead Space, you know? Like, you're just roaming around doing stuff, and there's, you know, there's zombies and that, but a lot of it's really tedious, too. Like, you know, gathering food constantly, making sure you're not running out of supplies. Dealing with servers where it's like, you know, is there anything you come across? Is it, you know, is it working well for you? It's quite neat because, like, DayZ I wouldn't say is necessarily for everyone, but the people that do really like DayZ, that's not what I need, are really into it and what it has to offer because it's got an interesting, tough styling. So you can kind of play the game from a traditional sense, you know, by roaming around in a vanilla server. And, you know, it's got the 60-player cap. Or you can play, there's also the custom servers, so people can rent servers. I used to do that back in the day. Different sizes, different rules, and you can mod it. So the modded servers and stuff, like, well, they don't have to be modded to have higher player counts, but they can have higher player counts. But the modded ones, you could be like, okay, I'm joining a server where it's like guns and stuff like that. And there's all kinds of different options, and that extends your experience too. Being able to interact in that way with others, I think, is really, really quite interesting. I'm not going to find any food, am I? I am going to absolutely die here. Yeah. Oh, a gun. Badly damaged CR-57. That's just what I've always wanted. Wow. Did I combine those? Nice. No ammo. That's what I'm talking about. Nothing like having a gun with no bullets. Seriously, you can't do anything with it. It's practically useless. So the zombies on roofs recently, too. But yeah, it's got all the small stuff, like crafting, building, scavenging. It's just like you're, to a degree, unlikely to do most of that. Like, a lot of people will come in, they'll play this, and like, they just really won't be able to do anything because they don't know what to do, or, you know, it's difficult, or they get confused. That's why there's so many guides and things like that, because the game is stressful, challenging, again, tedious. It takes a lot of figuring things out, and even then, if you figure things out, things still don't usually go your way. And everything factors in. Sound, movement, survival, damage, exploration, other people. You'll spend hours and hours and hours roaming across this world, finding a place, and you might fall and trip and your character will just die. Or you might get caught on a door. And like, they've never improved some stuff, but they've improved and added a lot of stuff, and it's interesting. Really? Really? And it's, yeah, you know, kind of hit or miss on what you get. And then, as I mentioned, there's servers for playing online, and then there's servers for playing only in first person. And then there's servers for all kinds of things. Different challenges and setups that people have created, or their clan groups, and you know, people interact with DayZ in all kinds of ways. And a lot of them find it fulfilling, and some people don't, and it's not a game for everyone. That's really the thing. Like, you die. Then you respawn somewhere else. And it can be kind of annoying because, like, the server thing, too. Like, if you don't rejoin the same server you're at, you have to wait for the timer to go by, and then you get respawned into some random place. And, yeah, it could be quite frustrating and annoying to have to deal with all this stuff. And your character can be not necessarily customized, but you can kind of pick your clothing and stuff. Or you can respawn with a random survivor or whatever you want. Choice is up to you. So, like, it is interesting because when I played this initially, it was very bare bones on Xbox. And it's only been through, like, literally, I think, are we coming up almost on a decade of this or something like that? I think we literally are. It's only been through an immense amount of updates and changes and fixes that it's gotten to a point where it's like, there's lots of features and lots of cool stuff, but it's still kind of like, it's a bit of a pain. Like, it's not easy going. It's challenging, you die all the time, servers get wiped all the time. And you're mostly trying to, like, you know, survive so that you can go and gather more items and try to make it somewhere else. And all the odds are against you. It's a cruel, merciless journey of pain and turmoil. And, yeah, I don't know if it's for everyone. Which is kind of funny, too, because a lot of people get mad and they're like, oh, you're always supposed to prompt and support DayZ. But I know for sure that this game is not the type of game that any person can dive into and enjoy. Like, you've really got to have a mindset for it. And some people find it the most fulfilling, fun experience where they just spend dozens and dozens and dozens of hours roaming around, running from zombies, dealing with stuff. And if that's for you, that's great. You know, you get that out of this. But some people will be like, it's kind of boring. Like, what are you doing? You know, it's kind of pointless. And I get that as well. And that's why I'm kind of doing a balanced kind of thought on it. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. That's not good. And they cut me a lot more than usual. Sometimes you don't get cut at all and you're fine, but yeah, it's not today for me. I'm gathering some decent stuff though. It's just, you know, ammo, everything like that. My biggest issue is the lack of food, which I just cannot seem to come across. And then there's people shooting, so eventually they'll probably end up killing me, the person with the gun, I would imagine. Tends to happen. Or they're trying to draw people in. There's all kinds of reasons behind stuff. You know, you might find a police station and find some guns that kind of hold up there. People do all kinds of stuff. Like, they roleplay in this, so they, you know, explore and battle. It's DayZ is kind of one of those games. It's just like an open, massive sandbox where it's what you make of it, I guess. Oh, come on. And either you make something good where you're surviving and exploring and you know, everything's good for you, or it's just pain. Everything's out to kill you, like, you know, all these different ways to kind of die and get sick and injured and attacked and beaten and yeah, got spite. But there is a charm to it, and it's, I don't know, it's nice to dive into it every so often because I don't feel the pressure to, like, really, you know, do anything in this game specifically anymore, because I've done all my videos, I've done all my stuff, and now it's just kind of like occasionally hopping in and seeing how it plays and that. I do wish they would clean up the performance a bit, like the server stutters and stuff, and, you know, there's things here or there that could also use some bump ups, but I think this is about the state it's going to be until they do a big engine change in that. And, you know, it renders decently well and it looks nice and it's got some good visuals and stuff to it. So I appreciate DayZ for what it is. It's intriguing. I think it offers some interesting gameplay. And, yeah, it's kind of fun to dive in and talk about it. I think I covered almost all of the bases, I would say. Did I not pick up the, I don't know if I picked up the stuff from my jeans. I think I got it all. Yeah. Oh, it's an entertaining game. It's got its moments, it's got its charm. It's a lot better than it was back in the day on the Series X, and I think people can kind of appreciate what it has to offer at this point, for sure. And I'll see you out there trying to survive.